Hi and welcome to the channel, and today we're going to go over the top 10 unwritten rules of cycling. We're all guilty of breaking at least one unwritten rule in our cycling careers. Here we go, let's check out this article by Peddlesure where they go over the top 10 unwritten rules of cycling, and we'll get straight into it right now. And at number 10, we all know cyclists can be pretty cliquey, and if you come across a tight-knit bunch that doesn't look too friendly, it's probably a good idea to introduce yourself to avoid any scathing looks. Even if you spot a few familiar faces, it's always courteous to announce yourself. However, whatever you do not suggest an alternative route, changing pace, or an impromptu cafe stop. You need to earn your place before starting calling those kind of shots. I'm calling bullshit on that. If you want to introduce yourself. If you want to suggest another calf, do it. I've never been ashamed of doing it, and I don't think you should be either. So this rule I'm not a big fan of. It might be unwritten, but personally I won't follow it myself. So here we are with number 9, hold your line. There's nothing more annoying than an inexperienced rider weaving in and out of you, ahead of you. One hand on the bars, flailing as they try to unpeel a banana. Do not be that guy. Girl, don't be that guy or girl. Up is number 8, never half wheel. Never, we repeat, never half wheel your riding partners. It's one of the worst things you could do on a big group ride. Half-wheeling is simply the action of riding up beside the pace setter of the group and placing your front wheel just enough ahead of them so you force them to increase the pace ever so slightly. If left unchecked, half-wheeling can soon turn what was originally a leisurely group ride into a flat-out team time trial. Half-wheeling is only acceptable when you're on the river in a race and try and intimidate your rivals. Yeah, I think that one's we can all relate to that, never half-wheel. How many times we've been out on a ride where next thing you know, it's like a 20 mile an hour average, and you're like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. So yeah, never half-wheel. Here we go with number 7, respect the group's patron. Your ride leader can change from week to week, but usually the rider that has been leading the group the longest or regularly does the routes. They're the group's conductor, ensuring everything runs smooth with the ragtag band of followers. You can chat with the patron, but you can never instruct the patron unless you're looking to challenge for leadership. It's best to keep your mouth shut and pedal should the patron start barking orders. You can tell this one's bullshit at the highest order. Who cares? Like, this one guy tries to be in charge and is like, stop, left, right. It's annoying. It's well annoying. Just don't do it. Come on, bro. We can all decide where we're going to go, calf. Let's do a group thing. Let's not just try and take over. But there's all. Number 6, moan at home. You overate last night? You're suffering from a niggly calf twitch? You're only here for a recovery ride? Come on. Leave the excuses at home and talk about something else. Perhaps the UCI's new sock length rule, the optimum gear ratio for a 1 in 4 climb, or how you think Swift is taking over the cycling world. Literally anything but a long list of made-up excuses. Yeah, agree. Totally agree. We don't need the excuses. Let's just ride. Number 5, the sneaky snot rocket. I think we've all had this one. But sometimes your nose will get so full of gunk that you're going to have to clear it out in one significant snotty expulsion. Make sure it isn't in full view of the group, and especially not in the face of the patron. Yeah, that patron guy, I might snot rocket that mofo. So what most people do is the hang back and blow method. It's arguably the most courteous, i.e. just into the back of the bunch to do the business. If you've never heard of the snot rocket, where have you been? Where have you been? Because I think everyone's seen it. But this is a handy guide to the snot rocket method. 1, push your fingers against the side of your nose, close off one nostril. 2. Lean your head forward toward the side of the unobstructed nostril. 3. Aim away from your body and other cyclists. 4. Blow with the force like you're blowing your nose into a hanky, like a force 10 gale. 5. Duplicate on the other nostril if required. Hands up who's ever got hit by the ricochet of a snot rocket, because I certainly have. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the hang back and blow method. Get that away from me. Some people go over to the side, but you can still get hit if you're not paying attention. Just don't do it. Number 4. Cakes, coffee, and cakes, and cafes. The Holy Trinity. Kind of messed that up because that was 4 things, but we'll go with it. There are a few ways to negotiate a cafe stop correctly, but hell of many ways you can generally fudge it up. What we tend to do is stick to cafes we know, but we like to throw a new one in there every now and again. But you can mess that up and then go to somewhere where A, they don't want cyclists, B, that can take forever to get your order, C, you just don't like the people there, D, the food's not great. So yeah, my recommendation was check it out on the internet or other reviews before you go. But yeah, this is definitely the best thing about cycling: coffee, cakes, and cafes, and that is the Holy Trinity, not 4 things. More things: when it comes to coffees, stick to Americanos or espressos. Lattes, frappes, and iced coffees are for gym-going hipsters, not hardcore cyclists. Agree. Whatever coffee you want. I'm quite partial to a latte, a frappe, or an iced coffee. Just depends on the day and the weather. So yeah, I strongly disagree with that. In this article though, there's a lot more choice when it comes to cakes. Well, thank you, article. That's very kind of you, letting us choose our own cakes. Apparently there's only one rule regarding sugary treats. Don't leave until you sampled all of the cafe's offerings. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Definitely on board with that. There's no such thing as too much cake. Again, on board, fully on board. After all, they go on to say, what's going to power you up the next climb? The cake, of course. No brainer. Number 3, we're cracking on down them now. And number 3 is to race or not to race. By all means, attack on the most challenging part of the climb. But if you then drop your chain and shaft the group slow, that's too bad. The race is now on. The only time a race is guaranteed is a few hundred metres before the upcoming town sign. It's a universal final sprint. Don't let anyone tell you any different. I want to say, know your competition, know their games, and most importantly, keep an eye out for any old-fashioned skullduggery. A lot is riding on this kind of race. Anyone knows me knows that sometimes if someone goes past, I like to get into a bit of a tete-a-tete with them, let's say. But all in all, we're out to ride, not race. Let's just enjoy it, enjoy the ride. If we're keeping up a high pace, that's good. If we're just rolling and enjoying each other's company, that's great as well. So yeah, I'm calling bullshit. And this one, not a big fan of this rule. Go straight in with the second to last one, which is signal everything. Obviously, strongly agree. Signal potholes, signal a parked car or a drunk pedestrian. Make sure you signal everything and anything that's made its way onto the road. If you choose not to signal and swerve instead, the rider behind you will be surprised as they're sent careening into the street. Yeah, it's happened to me before. Anchors on, crash into the back of them. Don't shout potholes. They just avoid it. Next thing you know, you're in a pothole and you're struggling unless you've got great bike handling skills. Thankfully, I do, to keep on your bike. So yeah, signaling everything is super important. And make sure you know your hand signals. We are done. The last one, and personally, the most important, in my opinion: start together, finish together. One of the most critical and unwritten rules is to stick together throughout the ride. Not only is it a whole lot merrier, but it also means you've got more pairs of legs to do the work you wouldn't. There's some caveats to that rule. If you've got some good excuses to leave the ride early, say the birth of your first child, you're getting married in the afternoon, unless that's the case, stay in the pack, suck it up, you're in for the long haul. That's another video done. Don't ask me what these two are doing on this ride. I don't know. These are some generic internet pictures. I just thought this one was interesting. I don't think any of us have gazed lovingly into our cycling partner's eyes like this. But yeah, we'll let them go with it. That's fine. No complaints. Let me know what you think about these 10 rules on the article from Pedal Cover. If you could let me know in the comments, or just generally what you think about these rules. Agree, disagree. I agree with some, disagree with others. But that's the end of the video today. Look out for the next one. Bye everyone.